for tuning in to another fun episode with your favorite Mouse Moms. Lori, that's me. Jennifer.
Hello. Bonjour.
Juliana.
What's up? She stole my bonjour.
This week, we are so excited and honored to have our special guest, Jen Lefforge, an amazing YouTuber that covers all of our favorite things, Disney. So first, a little bit about Jen. After a 25-year career, Jen took a 1-year grown-up gap year, which is awesome.
I love that.
Right?
I want a grown-up gap year.
Me too. And decided
decade.
I'd go with maybe a couple years. And decided to document her adventures on YouTube. 3 years later, this wife and empty nester, mom of 3, has 2 YouTube channels with over 30,000 subscribers and millions of views. She now is making her living talking all things Disney and lifestyle on her 2 YouTube channels. Jen Lefforge is the one channel, and then Joyful Living with Jen Lefforge. And loves that she made her passion her day job. She can be found on all things simply as Jen Lefforge. Jen also does consulting for aspiring YouTube creators. So check out her website. Her website is www.jenlefforge.com, and we will post that later. For more information, there you go. Thanks, Jen. So go there for more information, and let's welcome Jen to the show.
Hey, ladies, how are we today?
Oh, welcome. You're our people. I kind of love you.
Right?
I love a woman who takes what she loves and decides to make it her job. That's what we did. Yeah. So I love that. So welcome. We're so excited to talk to you.
So let's toast you, Jen. What are we using to toast you?
Okay, so I'm assuming you all don't find it, even though it's 9:30 in the morning, too early for tequila. So
no,
is it ever too early for tequila?
No. And we're going to be going with a blood orange margarita. Now, you can get this in La Cava, but you can also, and I just found this out, you can order this at the San Angel Inn, which I always pronounce wrong. People are like, it's San Angel. I'm like, okay.
That's way too fancy.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I found that out. You can actually go in there, sit by the water, watch the little boats go by, and get just like nachos and a margarita, which is, La Cava is great too, but as a nice alternative. So here's our recipe, which I pulled off of the Google. Because I've never actually made it at home, but now I just found out that Drizzly delivers to my house. So yeah, I know. Look at your face. Do you guys know what this is? Do you know what Drizzly is?
Jen knows what this is, apparently. Jen and
no, I don't, but it sounds fantastic and something that I need in my life.
Yeah. Hashtag not sponsored. It is in 2020, they made it legal. I live here in Georgia, and for the longest time you couldn't do alcohol delivery here. But now you can. So they don't sell hard liquor in the grocery stores, but I just found out I could have it delivered to my house.
Which is way more convenient anyway.
So, awesome. Yeah. So it's basically Uber for booze. So I can now get it. Like if I got off of here, in fact, maybe I'll do it while we're chatting.
I was going to say, I'm Googling Drizzly.
Yeah. Drizzly.com. Okay. So this is going to be an 1/8 cup of triple sec, 3/4 cup of blood orange puree, which everyone has hanging around in their freezer. I have no idea how to even attempt that. An 1/8 cup of tequila El Mayor Blanco, 1/2 of a fresh lime, and 3/8 cup of hibiscus syrup. So that is what needs to go into your favorite cocktail. And of course, you're going to serve it on the rocks because that's the way a tequila should be served. So anyway, there you go. There's our cocktail. And now you all have, the only thing I honest to God don't know how to get is blood orange puree. Any thoughts? Anybody know?
I would probably just get some blood oranges. And
I was going to say, does Amazon do it?
Yeah. You can find anything on Amazon.
Do I even know what a blood orange? I'm just trying to think. Have I ever even bought a blood? Juliana, have you bought a blood orange at the grocery store?
I have.
They're hard to find. They don't always have them.
They're on Amazon.
Blood
The
orange?
puree or the actual
Yep.
blood orange?
No, the puree. It's on Amazon.
Oh, that's
Problem
interesting.
solved.
Well, there
Problem
we go.
solved.
Problem solved.
I
They
can
are
get
hard to find. They're
I could get
super
it here by
seasonal.
Thursday.
It does
Well,
not
I
look
mean-
like Drizzly delivers to me.
Oh,
I'm like, this is the worst day of my life.
sad panda.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad, but I love that the three of us heard about that and we all whipped out our phones to
Yeah.
look it up right away because we're like, wait, what?
Well, I don't know what that store is. So Amazon's my store. So we're just
But
dipping up.
Amazon doesn't deliver alcohol.
Well,
but-
no, but the blood orange
Okay.
puree is an alcohol. So
No,
don't-
Where
but
can you get
Drizzly.
I know. Well, I gave up on that one.
Wow.
I'm
I'm shutting the
interesting.
door to, if anybody heard the dog barking, there are 3 of them, and it's a reality.
I was gonna say
It's-
I got 2. Usually they're hearing mine.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a nice change of pace to not hear Lori's dogs.
Right?
Although I'm
Yeah.
sure they'll answer your dogs back in a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That has happened. So, Jen,
Yes.
you have 2 YouTube channels.
Yes.
So tell us about them, please.
That is a lot of work.
Right?
Yeah. So keep in mind, though, this is my day job now. So this is what I do. And, when your kids leave, you find yourself with some time on your hands, and you can either spend it, so I had a full-time job the whole time they were growing up. And then when they left the house, I was like, I don't really want to do all this anymore. And I'm exhausted. And so we had saved up enough money for me to do this like 1 year of traveling. And so it was like, okay for me to not work at all for that 1 year and just travel. And it helps that my husband's an airline pilot, so airfare wasn't an issue. So that was a big deal. So I started off on this year, which, by the way, I highly recommend, especially when your kids leave the nest, because it's such like an emotional time when they leave. Oh, you won't be sad. Jennifer, let me tell you, by the time
I'm getting
they're ready,
sad. I
How
have
old is
number
your
2.
oldest?
My oldest will be a sophomore at college, and my second is a senior in high school. And then I have a 7-year-old. So I'm sure I won't be sad by the time she's going to college. But I'm a little sad right now.
But here's why this is a great thing for you to plan for. And it's why I think it's so, even if you can't like take a full year off of paid employment, make tons of plans that year. I mean, that's what worked for me, right? Because then you're not sitting around waiting for them to call. You're not sitting around with, like, you're letting them go live their life, and you are investing in your own life. And it kind of, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think this is excellent advice.
I really do. I love it.
I mean, so I feel like I just came off a 2-year adult gap year, but my kids are still at home. So it's a different story. But I will say that when, my in-laws had the same experience I did where they got to live abroad, but the very last year they lived abroad was the same year that they sent their last one to college. And I don't think they were too sad because they were busy doing something different.
And I actually think, Juliana, it's a gift you give them as well, because they feel like, oh, they're, they will never admit this, but they want to know that you're okay.
Yeah.
And so that allows them to live their life, and it allows you to live your life. And it becomes just this beautiful thing. And I got to tell you, it didn't kill me that, when my college sons would call, I'd be like in Paris.
Right.
It's like, oh, sorry, honey, I can't help you with that. I'm
Bad reception.
in Paris.
So can we talk a minute about re-entry though? Like after this gap year, and then I promise we'll talk about your YouTube
I mean,
channel.
Julian is having her own little session here.
But
No,
we are
it's
I'm
just-
fascinated.
Well, we all go through similar things, even though we have very different lives, right? Jen's sending hers off. I'm staring down the barrel of sending mine off. I'm in the middle of re-entry right now, which is, even though my kids are still at home. So what was it like coming back? I mean, did this spawn, I guess that does tie into your business, right?
Right. So I started recording, I documented everything on YouTube. And I used to say starting it as a hobby. It's not true. Like, it's a lie. I think most people who tell you they start YouTube as a hobby, they're lying. Like nobody does that much work as a hobby. I'm sorry. You do it because you hope to make money doing it. That's all there is to it. And I'm sorry, if you're the one YouTuber that disagrees with me, then I apologize. Not sorry. I don't know. So I had a blog since 2015. So I kind of had a bit of a social media following in all the different things. I had really let my blog go, but I did at least have a working knowledge of SEO and marketing and how to find my viewers and all of that. So I thought, well, I'll do it for a year when I'm not intending to make any money anyway. And if it's monetized by the end of the year, then I can reevaluate. Do I want to keep doing it? What do I want to do? So by the end of that first year, I think I had almost 5,000 subscribers, was fully monetized, and was starting to make enough money that I was like, okay, I could see this being a viable source of income to where I did not have to go back to my regular job. And Scott said, well, how long do you think you'll need to make that determination? I'm like, if we can give it another full year so basically I was underemployed financially for that second full year. And then just let me give it like my full intentionality, which I had not done the first year, right? The first year, it was just, yes, I was setting it up from a professional perspective, but I was definitely playing and just recording what I was playing. Second year, I took it a lot more seriously. And by the end of the second year, I was making enough that I did not have to go back to my full-time job. So that's now what I do for a living.
That's
awesome.
I don't even know what to say. Like, that is the coolest thing ever.
I'm
Like,
super
way to
excited.
take a situation where you're like, because me, as I prepare to send number 2 off to college, I'm like, oh, my babies are leaving me.
But now you have a new baby.
Oh,
You're doing the same thing. You're
I
starting.
guess so. Yeah.
Yes,
This
in
is why we
fact,
love her. This is you are us. You are
Yeah,
us.
really. So,
Well,
Mouse Mom number 4.
And I have to tell you guys, really, when I started, and this is kind of a dark statistic, so I don't want to take a bad turn, but the highest jump in people ending their own lives is women between the ages of 35 and 55.
wow.
Percentage wise, higher than any other demographic. And when I read that, this was way back when I started my blog, I was like, what's going on? What are we doing to ourselves? And honest to goodness, I think a lot of it, and this is kind of what I will preach until the day that I die, we do lose our own sense of what motivates us as individuals.
100%.
It's all about our families, and then it's about our careers, and it's about our homes. And we're trying to keep the lights on and keep everything running and keep milk in the refrigerator. And there's only so much bandwidth we have. And so we neglect the part of ourselves that is our own passion and our own joy. And not everybody can go and do it the way that I did and make it their career, right? That's a little unattainable. And mine was just a lot of luck and a lot of different circumstances. But we can certainly have a piece, right? Something that we love, that we know, boy, when I have the time, I'm going to develop this thing, no matter what that is. If it's, I took up ballet again. I mean, is it learning a language? Is it travel? Whatever the case may be, what can you pick back up that you used to love? And I think that goes a long way towards helping us not go through that kind of falling off a cliff feeling when we transition to a new stage of our lives.
So are these the kinds of things that you talk about on your Joyful Living channel?
Yeah. So that's what happened. Getting back to the YouTube story. Disney took off as far as views. So I always say the Disney channel is what pays my bills and the Joyful Living channel is where my heart is, right? Okay. I love Disney, but it's not something that I want to talk about necessarily 24 hours a day, 7 days a week,
and
right?
Why is that, Jen? Why not? I don't.
Seriously.
Not
we can't relate.
I'm sorry. You lost me.
Wait, is this thing on? What?
So
No,
I'll tell you a quote. I'll tell you a quote I just heard yesterday, and I don't know who to attribute it to. So, creativity is forgetting where you stole something. But the quote was, have a life that's so fantastic that you don't need to escape from it. And that's kind of how Joyful Living came about, because I was running into all of these Disney moms, which this brings it all full circle, right? Who we all love Disney, but I saw a lot of them using Disney as a way to numb, to tune out, to not, Brene Brown, if you guys are Brene Brown followers, she talks about that. Okay.
Yeah. Our happy place.
I'm not seeing the problem here. I don't know.
Our happy place is our what is it? Blood orange margarita. And
I was going to say,
Disney and
I did that for
else.
I numbed myself for 3 months. It worked out perfectly fine.
Yes. And I will say that sometimes seasonal numbing, especially with what we've all been through, if we need to do some sheet caking every once in a while, there is nothing in the world wrong with that. I just think at some point you want to look at your, that whole everybody's working for the weekend. That's not very fun. Like, what if we woke up every day really happy about our lives, also really happy when we go on vacation, also really happy when we hang out with Disney friends? Like, instead of this, my day-to-day is such drudgery that I'm just constantly working on a countdown to when I can escape from it, because you don't want to live for 2 weeks a year.
And so my kids, some of my kids, not my older ones, but my kids spend summers at an overnight camp, and their mantra is that they live 10 months, 10 for 2. So they go through the motions for 10 months to have these 2 months of absolute heaven. So what are we teaching our kids in that sentence? That is so interesting. Wow.
Yeah. And don't we want, I think that's such a great thing for moms to go, what do I want? How do I want my kids to feel when their eyes open in the morning? Do I want them to go, oh my gosh, I got to get through the next 3 weeks and then I can finally go do something I love? That's not what we want for our kids. So why would we want that for ourselves? Like, we want to wake up going, okay, I am super excited about the day that's ahead of me. Not every day. That's not realistic. But, it's that quote. And I think it's from a Jane Austen book. She crafted a life that she loved. And that's been like my guiding principle, is how can I craft an entire life that I love, not just vacations that I love or whatever the case may be, or happy hours.
Well, I love it. Happy hours are good though. I love all of this behind Joyful Living, but of course we, the three of us, have managed to craft the life that we love surrounding Disney. Yeah. And the four of us are super lucky that we get to do that, right? It's not so easy for everybody. Not to say it's been easy for any of us, but you know what I mean. So Disney, though, since that's sort of the thing, how does that fit into your, when did your love of Disney start? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I love talking about that. My birthday is actually July 17th, which is the day that Disneyland opened. Not the same year, thank you. I'm not quite that old, but I grew up in Southern California. My dad was in the airline, so we moved around a lot, but we lived in California until I was 8, and that's where all of my extended family was from. So my parents actually used to go to Disneyland when they were dating. They would do the Disneyland Saturday nights. They did Dapper Days, the OG Dapper Days. Like, if they were not being ironic, that was what they wore. And it's funny because people who talk about how I can't believe these grownups that go to Disney without kids. What's funny is Disneyland targeted that audience from day one. The grown-up Disneyland Saturday night obviously was not for children, and you would go and they would have a live band, and my parents would jitterbug and the whole 9 yards. So they had a deep love of Disney. I had family members that worked in the parks, and then I grew up going there on my birthday every year, which was always a huge celebration, which I thought was all about me.
Well, yes.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that was kind of my formative years, and we only ever would go, this seems so crazy now because we literally lived 5 miles from the gates of Disneyland. But back in the day, nobody did like annual passes to Disneyland. Like, you went maybe once or twice a year and that was it. And we would only ever go for one day. And I remember those days, like going like, do you remember that when you were little? It was like you would look at your big old Mickey watch and it had been like 6 hours. And you're like, wait, we just got here. Like, just feeling like, so I would always have this recurring dream when I was little that I got to stay at Disneyland for, days and days and days and go as often as I wanted. And so as I had kids of my own, we were really broke for a long time. My husband was furloughed from the airlines. We had years of unemployment. But then when we could finally afford to take them to Disneyland at first and then to Disney World, it was such a big deal for me to introduce that to my kids. So then fast forward, after many years of vacationing, we ended up purchasing Disney Vacation Club in 2012. And it's just always been kind of part of our culture as a family, is that's what we do. Now, we do lots of other vacations too. My kids have been all over the world because my husband's an airline pilot, so we've been able to do that. But I always say Disney is our lake house. So people are like, I can't believe you're going to Disney again. Well, you don't say that to someone who goes to their lake house every year, You don't say that to people who go to Vegas every year, but for some reason, people who do Disney, it's got this like weird stigma. And I'm like, it's just where it's not our family memories, it's the context of our family memories. Like that's where I can like put a stake in the ground that year after year, that's where those memories were made. So yeah.
I love that. That's very much like my family too. My parents bought into DVC in 92.
Wow.
So I kind of not grew up because I was already in college by then, but I knew that it was something that I wanted to do for my family. So I remember my son, my oldest was 10 months old, and my husband had a medical conference in Disney. We stayed at the boardwalk. I said, let's go make an appointment here to talk to the DVC people. He looked at me. He said, we're going to be coming here a lot, aren't we? And I said, yep. And we have. And you're absolutely right. It's that thing where, even at, 19 and 17, my kids still look forward to going with us. And it's that family vacation where we know that we're all going to be together. We go to Cape Cod every year and rent a house, and we're all together in the house, but like they're sleeping in and going off on their own at the beach and doing this and that and that. But when we're in Disney, we're like all taking the crazy pictures together on Rock and Roller Coaster and all, eating together at Chef Mickey's. So it's just a different vibe, but you're absolutely right. It does get that stigma. Nobody ever questions that we go to the Cape every year, but you're going to Disney again is always a sentence that I hear that I just can't.
I was going to say, I love the statement that it's like a lake house. That's what I'm using from here on out.
Yes, absolutely.
Which is my other happy place.
Yes.
But haters going to hate.
Yeah.
Listen, so I relate to the part about being a kid. I moved to the Tampa area when I was in 6th grade, and same thing. I would see the Grand and be like, someday I'm going to stay there. So like for my family and our listeners, and Jen and Lori have heard this before, but for my family, it was like the biggest deal. I couldn't wait to take them. And my husband gave me a one and done scenario, like have at it, go nuts. And the rest is history. I had at it, I went nuts, and my kids now 11 and 13 are counting down the days till we go back again. And I did not get as much buy-in from my husband, so I had to start a travel agency so that I have it.
That's what I was going to ask that, Juliana. So of the three of you, so I have a reluctant Disney spouse as well. Who else are Juliana, Lori, and Jennifer, are your husbands or spouses, I should say, partners? Are they sold in?
Mine bought in pretty quickly. He proposed to me in front of Cinderella's castle. So he knew from the get-go that, okay, this is what this is going to be. So I think after doing that, he knew where all this was going. I still need to convince him on DVC because that's what I would like. But he is also,
Lori, I did a whole video about that on my channel.
I did
talk about that.
I saw that, and I actually showed it to him last night. He's like, I'm not watching that right now. And I was like, you will.
I'm going to show it to Andy too.
It's a video of how to convince your husband to buy into
Will you use the grandparents angle? Because that's a great one. We'll use it with our grandchildren.
Yep, there's your next video. Yeah.
Yeah, the whole, there is that emotional, and Disney leans into that hard. Mm-hmm. I can't remember which year it was. I always go back and watch the old DVC promotional videos, like on the treadmill, because they make me happy. I don't know why, but how many times can I watch about the magical suitcase? Apparently a lot of times, but the whole thing about you can use it this year for this, and then someday for your granddaughter to go on her honeymoon. And it's like this whole, it's like, first of all, am I going to live to be 170 years old? Evidently. But it's that tie to the generational piece of it that I think gets so many people. And, DVC isn't right for everybody. I'm always really quick to say that it's a huge financial commitment. I think the lake house analogy works really well with Disney Vacation Club because you're paying about as much, with the difference being that when it's done, you don't sell it and it's part of your estate. You hope you use it and it's used up, and that's all there is to it. But my husband, we did go to Disneyland on our honeymoon. On our way back from Hawaii, we spent one night in Disneyland. He'll go once a year with me, but he's not nearly as as into it as I am, but he does love me and he wants to stay married. So
I think that's where my husband is. He is not naive to the fact that this is going to be part of our lives forever. I think our decision for DVC was more of a financial one because we have 4 kids. And so that right there, 4 kids, 2 adults, family of 6 staying in Disney once, not even if we went once a year, which we do, but financially it made more sense for us. So
that was
that's
us
where
with
his thinking was.
Too.
Yeah,
because one hotel room just ceases to work when you have 3 children, even if they say you can fit 5 people in there.
Not when those children are adults and taller than me.
We're getting there because I have 3 boys, and I was saying to Jen, like we're getting there. My youngest is 3, so now he counts as a person. In the rooms.
And Lori, the washer and dryer with 3 boys is what will change your life. Like Scott's always like, sometimes I swear the only reason we bought DVC is because you wanted a washer and dryer. I'm like, you are not wrong. Like I am the person, I have to stay on Disney property. I'm a bubble person. There's bubble people and there's non-bubble people. There's people that go to like Golden Corral for lunch, and I'm like,
there's bubble people and crazy people. That's what there is.
I agree.
So you obviously did a whole one on DVC, which got us on that. What else do you talk about on your YouTube channel? What if I were flipping through, what is it that I'm going to find on your Disney channel?
A lot of snark. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of insider information about influencers who are on the Disney PR list. And you may already know this. Disney does not pay you. They give you free tickets to things, but you don't get paid. So I would see a lot of influencers in our genre, back when I was a blogger too, who would think that was like the be all and end all. And I'm like, I would rather pay my own way and then say exactly what I think and be really, really honest about it. Right. So like one of my videos that has been the most watched recently was my Grand Floridian review, where I talked about the fact that.
Yeah, I was going to bring that one up because that one spoke to me because Lori and I just stayed there a couple of weeks ago, and I was not impressed. I was very underwhelmed, and it was so refreshing to see, because you're right, a lot of the YouTubers and bloggers and vloggers will post these things where everything is sunshine and roses. And the 3 of us, we are very honest. And if we don't like something, we're going to tell you that, because, our other gig is travel agents. And I don't ever want somebody to come back to me and say that they were disappointed when I kind of knew that they would be, so I so appreciate that.
Yeah, I think credibility. And I try never to be like, I think you can be honest without being negative, right? Yes. Like, I hope what came across in that video was cast members were amazing. This was amazing. This was amazing. I'm always about value, which doesn't always mean cheap. And, you can pay a lot of money for something. Like, for instance, the VIP tours, I think those are worth it all day, every day. Yes. It's obscenely expensive. But what you get with that cast member for the money that you're paying, especially if you're like someone that only has 2 days to be in Disney and this is it for you, or whatever the case may be, could totally be worth the money. So it's not always about the money that you're spending. But I will tell you, I was shocked at what we paid for that room, especially compared to, we had just left Coronado Springs and had such a fantastic 5-star experience and had paid less than a third the price.
Right.
So anyway, I'm kind of known for calling it how I see it. As always, it's my opinion. Like, there were people that were Grand Floridian apologists that got on there and I thought were going to murder me. It is the best hotel ever. One person said, true Disney fans know what they're paying for and they get it. I'm like, okay, guess I'm not a true Disney fan. Sorry.
Qualify that. I think the mistake is, you can be a lover of Disney and still see where they've made mistakes.
Yes.
And, we happen to be very influential ourselves because we're pretty sure they listen. And they've taken some of our suggestions in the past.
It's true. Yeah. True. That creepy clown pool at the boardwalk.
Gone.
One podcast episode about how scary that was.
I actually
and it's
heard
gone.
that was you girls. I
Yes.
actually heard that.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Absolutely.
oh, I hope they like me. I don't want to get on their list.
You are
No
a
more
smart
Jen
woman.
Lefforge.
Yep, you are a smart woman. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. But I do love that. And I really do. I was sitting there watching the Grand Floridian video and I'm like, oh, she's right. Oh, she is right. Because it's true. It's all about the bang for your buck. And when you're talking about that kind of money, you want to make sure that you are getting what you pay for. And if you're not, I want to tell people that. And then if you choose to stay there anyway, my conscience is clear and you might love it.
Well, as travel agents, right? It's our responsibility to both advise and listen. So
Yeah,
right.
if we can tell you this is the best vacation I think for you, but if that's not what you want, it's not what you want, and I will make it the best I can with what you want. But yes, we're a little too honest sometimes.
I was going to say, and we have this, so we can also, when we really want to put our opinions out there, we can put it on the podcast.
And the
Because
bots
like
are
you
listening.
said,
Because
So
that's separate.
Because like you said, it's an independent thing.
Yep.
Right.
So what made you start doing, so we know what made you start doing the Joyful Living, which I love. What made you start doing the Disney podcast or the Disney YouTube? And that was first, right?
Exactly. Well, I started doing Disney YouTube specifically because when we were I'm a researcher. Well, we all are, clearly. I mean, we wouldn't be doing what we all do if we weren't researchers in our hearts. But when we went to buy Disney Vacation Club, I had a very hard time finding authentic information from actual owners. I could find a lot from resale brokers. Of course, I could find a lot from Disney, but there just wasn't a lot out there at that time 3 years ago that was, this is how it works. This is the product. Here's the pros. Here's the cons. Really objective. And so that I decided, someone had given me advice a long time ago to try to, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, try to meet a need that you had. Well, I had a need for accurate and thorough information about Disney Vacation Club, and I could not find it. Now there's a lot more YouTubers that talk about it. But I wanted to be very honest with people. And it is a very complicated product. So like if you're a person, and Jennifer, you know this, if you just want to pick up a phone and book a vacation 3 months in advance, Disney Vacation Club is a horrible idea for you. Horrible. You need to be calling your Disney travel agent and letting her do everything for you. If, however, you're someone who plans way in advance, it can be a great product. So the very first video I did, and Juliana, I really had not intended for the entire focus of the channel to be Disney, but you know, the market leads your decisions. And that very first video I did went crazy. And I think I don't know how many views it's had now, but a lot. I still make a lot of money every month off of that one video, which was very poor quality in my view. Like I look back at it and cringe, but it's still like the most watched video on my channel. So, you know, we don't mess with it. But so that was kind of what took off. And I realized that that's what was going to get traction. And I did Run Disney for a while. And for a while, I would do all of the Run Disney races. So I knew I had all that content. And it's what I know. It's what I'm super, super knowledgeable about. So it kind of made sense. So yeah, that's just kind of how it started. I do a lot of luxury Disney too, a lot of higher end dining and things like the VIP tours, things like that. And that's kind of a niche market for me, which is great because I can write off when I do stuff.
Yep. We can't relate at all.
Yeah. I was reading the IRS thing the other day, and it said, you know, you have to be careful what you write off because you can't go to a 5-star hotel unless your niche is 5-star hotels. And I'm like, check and check.
Yeah. That's kind of where we are. And we really gave it a good, solid try to stay value. And on day 2, I walked into the Polynesian and said, what do you have available tonight?
Yeah.
So
for ourselves, we're definitely in the deluxe niche as well. So
yeah.
Okay.
And I would rather go less often, right? And do higher end trips. That's just, you know, just my thing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Me too. I like to be spoiled on vacation, and it's still vacation. So would you be willing to play a little game with us?
Absolutely. I'm always ready to play a game.
All Okay. So we have this or that. All right.
Okay.
And some of these are going to be a little challenging for you.
Are we playing too?
Oh, are we all playing?
Are we-
Well, I think we
I
should
don't
let Jen
know.
answer first.
Let's
I think
let
so
Jen.
too.
Yeah.
I'm
And then
really
we'll tell her
curious.
if she's right or wrong.
Can we get one of
I
those
like-
buzzers that's like beep wrong?
Good for you.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. So this or that.
Wrong lever,
I'm just going to read two things, and you tell us which one would be your preference. Okay, you ready?
Okay, ready.
All right. Disneyland or Walt Disney World?
Disneyland.
Oh.
Okay, we're going to have to expand. Why?
Yeah. Yeah. So it depends on the trip, obviously. There's a lot of variables. But if you gave me 3 days, for instance, and said I had to go to one or the other at Disneyland, it's because it's my home park. It's where my formative memories are. It's the connection to Walt Disney. It's the history. I did the Walk in Walt's Disneyland Footsteps tour a few years ago. And you guys, I got in so much trouble because when you go up to the apartment, have y'all done it?
No.
We're waiting for it to come back to book our trip, actually.
Okay, so when you go up to the apartment and there's where the lamp is, right? And it's in this little like window and they're very specific. We're not going to step past this line because guests can see up into the apartment. I rushed towards the window like some kind of, I don't know, obsessed fly going towards a light.
Yeah.
And they only allow like 6 guests up there at a time because it's a very small space. And she was like, let's remember that we're not to go past this line. And I was like, oh yeah, that was totally me. Sorry. My bad.
And now we are no longer allowed back in Walt's apartment, ladies.
Jen's fault.
Places we are no longer welcome at Disneyland. So yeah, there's just the intimacy of it. And I always tell people Disney World is a full resort vacation experience. Disneyland is like a jewel box. It's like this very intimate, much smaller, a lot less walking and a lot more experiences that as a grown-up Disney fan, I feel the need to just like kind of dwell in, if that makes sense. And I just completely nerd out when I'm at Disneyland. Disney World's where I hang out with my family and we go crazy and we're a sweaty mess. Disneyland is where I kind of embrace my love of Disney.
Yeah, it's more nostalgic.
Yeah.
Even if it's not your home park. Like I grew up with Orlando and I still find Disneyland the more nostalgic park because it is
So
the
it
OG.
is, yeah.
But I think this is an impossible question and I, for one, refuse to answer it.
It's your Sophie's choice question. Nope, I'm out. I'm not doing it.
Done.
No, I'm
Done.
from Orlando. I have to be, though.
I was gonna say I grew up in Orlando, but we went to Disneyland for the first time, I think like 2.5 years ago, something like that. And I absolutely loved it. I didn't realize how much I was going to love Disneyland as much as I did. And now my husband actually prefers Disneyland over Walt Disney World. I think it's because the vacation's shorter. I really do. Yeah, my kids loved it. My 9-year-old is so into Walt Disney and all the history that he loved it there. But yeah, it's really an amazing park with some amazing history behind it that I think, the Walt Disney World one lost a little history to it.
Yeah.
Well, and let's just say the humidity situation
doesn't help.
I live in Atlanta. Okay. I can you see my windows right now? Like I don't need any more humidity in my life. So when I can go to California, that weather there is something about the weather is slightly better. Sorry.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yep.
Hilton Head or Vero Beach?
Oh, Vero Beach.
Really?
Really?
Interesting.
So Vero Beach was actually our first DVC contract. And I don't love that. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. Are you guys hearing that? I'm hearing my own voice just a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, but it's not
Lori's
distracting.
fault.
It's Lori's fault.
Of course.
I'm just hoping it's not something that I'm doing. I always think it's me. So the reason, and I just went to Hilton Head for the first time. I don't love that it's not right on the ocean. I love Vero because you don't have to go to I loved the beach house. That was a cool experience, but I like Vero being right on the Atlantic Ocean. It's a lot wilder beach there and all of that, but it feels more like true beach trip to me.
That is true. I have not stayed at Hilton Head yet, but we've done Vero Beach and we loved it. It was a great vacation. You still have that Disney quality. It's gorgeous. The cast members were amazing. But I do still want to do Hilton Head. Check it out.
I mean, go
and
ahead.
then be able to vote with that. I think the next one is impossible to answer.
Disney Cruise or Aulani?
Yeah.
No, it's not for me.
Okay.
No?
Mm-mm.
All right. Go ahead.
You guys, I don't like Aulani.
The three of us, hang on, to be fair, the three of us have never been to Aulani.
That's
We all
true.
make these gasping faces, but none of us have been.
That's such my bucket list.
I'm afraid that I'm not going to like it either. So we're going to Hawaii next summer.
Okay. Are you staying at Aulani?
Only for part of the time.
No, that's what you should do. Okay, so here's why. And I have a very specific reason as to why. I grew up going to Hawaii as a kid. My parents had friends that owned a condo on the island of Kauai. And so we went there most summers when I was growing up. Aulani is in a place called Ko'olina, which is beautiful, but is very much like Destin, Florida.
Mm-hmm. I love Destin, Florida.
Okay, well, there you go. Then there you go. But it does not, as much as they have tried, Ko'olina is kind of a very commercialized, very fake-ish type of a situation, okay? For little kids, it is so spectacular. It is all the things you love about Disney. They do really immerse you in the Hawaiian culture, all of those things, okay? So it has nothing to do with Disney. It honestly has to do with Honolulu, and I just don't like that area. I much prefer one of the smaller islands or the North Shore. If you're going to go to Oahu, the North Shore is where I would prefer to stay. But I think Aulani for a few nights is great because you get the Disney immersion and it's such an amazing experience. But you really just want to stay at the resort.
Right.
But then to actually tour Hawaii, I don't think it's a great place for that.
So is it in a decent location for jumping off to other islands, or would you go and stay on other islands?
Well, it is as far as, because everything's very close, and the inter island airlines, it's really odd because you don't really just want to go for the day, but it's very easy to fly in out of Honolulu to go anywhere else. So it really is easy. But also, if you want to stay on Oahu, the North Shore definitely has more of an authentic Hawaiian feeling to it. And, my complaints about Aulani are what a lot of people say about Honolulu in general. Waikiki and all that is not true Hawaii.
Right.
But again, it's what I grew up with. I mean, when we got to Kauai and there was no air conditioning, I was excited because to me, having air conditioning in Hawaii is very strange. Like you're supposed to have the windows open and the trade breeze and all of that. So it's a lot of that's very specific to me.
Right.
And Aulani is in a decent location. You would still want to have a car. Like if you're going to do Diamond Head and you're going to do Pearl Harbor and all of that, you're definitely going to want a car. But I don't know. We were sitting in our chairs on the beach, and the couple next to us was in Atlanta. Everybody goes off of what exit you live off of, and we live off of exit 10. And then we start chatting with this couple, and they live in exit 12. And I was like, okay, that's just not.
That is wild. I think for me, here's my plan for Aulani. I want to go to Hawaii, travel around because we love hiking and nature and volcanoes and all that stuff. And then at the end of that, I want to spend a good few days chilling and getting spoiled at Aulani. That's what I want to do.
Juliana, I think that's the perfect plan because that way you can do the spa there. You can really soak everything in.
Right.
And
so when you say we are going next summer, do you mean me and you?
Yeah.
I didn't hear about these plans.
Well, I assumed it was the four of us. Was I wrong?
You need to make sure that my husband listens to this episode because he's in charge. It's our 20th wedding anniversary next.
It was mine last year. I'm just saying COVID.
I have a couple years. We could celebrate early.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, moving on. Poly or Grand Floridian?
Oh, this one's easy.
Poly. Clearly,
you're
Poly.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. Ding, ding, ding.
Not even necessary for discussing. Coronado or Caribbean? So Coronado Springs or Caribbean Beach?
Coronado Springs. And having said that, I've never stayed at Caribbean Beach. But I've recently decided that I am going to retire in a tower room in Coronado Springs. So that's kind of like when they opened up the tower, which I had loved Coronado Springs before that. But that Grand Destino Tower, y'all, I just am completely enamored with it. Absolutely adore it.
I'm staying there in a month and a half. I'm very excited.
Oh, you will love it.
So I think Jen and Lori are going to disagree with us, but I vote Coronado as well. But you can't.
I've never stayed in the tower. I would really like to stay in the tower. I did not like the regular Coronado.
I was going to say I've never stayed in the tower, but I really dislike Caribbean. So I'd go Coronado anyways.
Would you? See, I thought you were going to say because of the Skyliner.
I do like the Skyliner.
I love the Skyliner. To me, the Caribbean is just not worth. I can't. It's too laid out. I can't do it. I can't. But I do love the Skyliner. I just I can't do it.
The only reason to stay there.
And now Coronado.
I really like Coronado a lot.
Yeah, and now Coronado has Sangria University, so I'm even more.
That's true. That's true.
Well, and when you're in the tower, this is what Scott and I found when we were there in May, which, by the way, my husband, who is the reluctant Disney person, adored Coronado's, the Grand Destino Tower in particular. You can go to everything without ever going outside because they have the covered, the air conditioned walkways. And so honestly, I'm not a travel agent, but I think as far as bang for the buck, I think Grand Destino Tower is the best value on Disney property right now.
It's like a deluxe resort with a moderate price tag.
As a travel agent, that is the line. It is just what Jen said. It is technically a moderate, right? Price wise, it's in that category, but this is a deluxe hotel.
Yeah.
Now I stayed club level there. And I will tell you that the club level, I've stayed club level most of the deluxe resorts except for the Grand Floridian, hands down the best club level on all of Disney property. And I talked to the manager there, and he said that was actually going to be their flagship club level for what they were going to model all of the club levels after. Y'all, they would give us champagne all day. And I'm not talking like Prosecco or sparkling wine, like actual champagne. There was a chef up there every evening. They had Mickey waffles. Yes, at Grand Destino. It's you should go watch my video on it, Juliana.
I might need to upgrade. They need to.
We weren't. Oh, it is. I don't even have words. It is absolutely spectacular. And we got shut down. I didn't get to film as much as I wanted because the club level had literally just opened and they had a lot of Disney brass up there and they were not enjoying me filming. It's the only time I've ever been asked to stop filming. And I'm not obnoxious, right? I don't have like a big old, I was literally filming on my phone. But they want to keep it very private and exclusive and whatever. They've probably, it's not open right now. I think it reopens in December. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So you need to do that.
I shall. I will. All right. So Magic Kingdom or Epcot?
I feel like this is my Disneyland or Disney World question. It depends on who I'm with. I would say in later years, Epcot, more just because of the drinking.
Yep. Of course. We only last in Magic Kingdom till like 4 or 5 p.m. because Okay, but if we are in Magic
one
Kingdom,
of us.
I will say this, you guys. I have friends, several friends actually, that are Club 33 members. So I have gone to Magic Kingdom and basically stayed in the club the majority of the day and just hung out there, which you can't.
That's how you do the Magic Kingdom. So.
I need new friends.
I was going to say, I need new friends.
Yeah.
Will you be my friend? Pirates of the Caribbean or Splash Mountain?
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh,
yes.
I don't dislike Splash Mountain, but I also don't love getting soaking wet on rides and,
How do you feel about the Princess and the Frog proposed revamp of Splash Mountain?
No, I'm all for it. I'm all for it, 100%. 100% all for it. Yeah.
All right. Lori's a bit triggered.
Or Halloween at Disney?
Say it again.
Christmas at Disney or Halloween at Disney?
Christmas. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm, in fact, this morning, my travel agent, which even though we're DVC members, I do have a wonderful Disney travel planner that does my trips
Good
for me when it's
girl.
not DVC. And I always recommend that. So she got me tickets to the extremely overpriced
Yes.
Disney Christmas party.
Extremely overpriced, but good for you.
Although, let me say this. I'm going in November, number one. So with my discount, the ticket was $159. So I feel like everybody that's
That's
talking
not
about
bad.
it is talking about the December rates. And it's 4 hours, not 3, like the Halloween party. And I'm also a person who had no problem paying for the after hour events. I thought those were phenomenal. So it's not that big of a jump from what they used to charge. And when I found out they had the Christmas parade, I was like, take all my money. Now it's
Yeah.
just myself because I'm doing a girlfriend's trip that time in November. If it was our family of 5, of course I'm not going to do that. I mean, that's like a house payment, but you know.
That is true. That is true. Well, we just came back from Boo Bash, so we've got a lot to say about that one, but
That's the next
interesting.
discussion. So if you are into merchandise, Loungefly or Vera Bradley?
Vera Bradley, I do not like the Loungefly bags. And I realize that someone might take away my Disney card, but
No,
I'm a very practical, I'm a very
the three of
practical
us-
girl.
The three of us have different opinions about
Yeah,
a
we
lot of
do.
things. And
I would say
with
I'm
you.
Loungefly. They are not Loungefly.
I'm Vera.
Yeah. To be fair, I have Vera and Loungefly. I have both.
They did have
But I
the
like Loungefly.
cutest little Yoda backpack Loungefly that I really was tempted, but I just don't want to start collecting one more thing.
Yeah. I do have a couple of Loungefly that are outfit specific. Like I happen to have a Monsters Inc. dress, and then I have a Sully backpack that, how can you not wear your
how
Sully
can you
backpack with
not?
your Monsters Inc. dress? I mean,
well,
you know.
that's a different story.
Well, and I will say Loungefly is great to complete an outfit. Like if it's for, say, for like the Halloween party, okay, that could be a whole thing. But for a park touring bag, right? It's just not practical for me. It
That
gets
is
on
a
my
cute
nerve.
way to do Halloween because these girls won't put costumes on for me, but that would be a cute way.
I wore a mask last year.
Yeah, we wore a mask.
We
For
went,
COVID.
they were Sanderson sisters masks.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Moving on.
Ingrate. You're an ingrate. Mickey Pretzel or Mickey Bar?
Can I say neither?
Mickey ice cream
I'm
sandwich.
an ice cream sandwich girl, and also, yeah.
My person.
Also, the Mickey pretzels are disgusting. The only pretzels a person should consume at Disney World are the ones in Germany that are like
They're bigger than your
$15.
head.
See, I'm the
Uh-huh.
opposite. I don't like the ones in Germany. I don't. We
Oh,
got it.
Well,
I didn't like
Lori,
it.
you're wrong.
I didn't like it. We tried.
Lori,
We
you're wrong.
compared. We did a family comparison, and I didn't like Germany's.
That's because you're Canadian.
Maybe.
I
Maybe.
don't know what that has to do with it.
I don't know either.
Okay, I have 2 more questions, and these are very
Okay.
important ones.
Yes.
Okay.
Disney by yourself or with other adults, maybe, or Disney with your family?
That is impossible to choose because to me, that's 2 completely different trips. Like I've done quite a bit of solo traveling and I absolutely adore it. I think unless you're like a crazy extrovert, which even if you are, because you can still chat with people, right? Like I love solo trips.
Everybody
Love
chats at
them.
Disney.
It's true. Even with COVID, like I went to Hilton Head by myself in the height of COVID, and we're like 6 feet apart in our lounge chairs, chatting away with, me by myself, with these people that I met, whatever. So I love both. And as my boys are getting older, they are wanting to go to Disney less. So I can't even answer that. Like to me, it literally is like 2 completely different vacations. Does that make sense?
For
Yes.
me, it
Yes.
depends on the day. Like yesterday, by myself. My kids were awful.
Lori, the question wasn't, do you want to live with your family or live by yourself? It was about Disney.
I already said yesterday, I was going back to Canada. My kids can't follow. I was done. So yesterday would have been the trip to Disney by myself.
You actually
Lori's-
do have a legit escape hatch.
I do.
Yeah, you do.
Wow.
You are in the thick of things. Like, we have all been there, done that, and we're starting to see the light of, a gap year. And you are.
No. But see, this morning my kids were lovely. And this morning I would totally all go together as a family.
Yeah, Lori, watch out for that. That's how they get you.
Yeah. Oh no, they're tricky. They're tricky.
Those tricky kids.
My dad used to say that God knew he had to make babies super, super cute because otherwise no one would put up with that.
That's true. No one would have more than one. That's for sure. That's
right,
for sure.
That's right.
Yes.
I think this last this or that is going to really determine whether or not you are a mouse mom or not. So I don't want to. This is a lot of pressure.
I'm nervous for you, Jen. I'm nervous for you. Okay, so let's go to Epcot for our very last question. Left or right? Mexico or Canada? Where do you start?
Mexico. Oh, where do I start? Oh,
yes.
Which one do I like better, or where do I start? Those
where
are
do you
two different
start? Do you go right or left?
We go right. We're right people.
See, she's with me though.
Yeah. We're right people. You know why? Because everybody goes left first. And if everybody starts in Mexico, then nobody starts in Mexico. No, I don't know where that was like a math step of the, if everybody's special, then nobody's special.
That's new math.
Yeah.
So we've always been, all three of us have always said Mexico, but then started doing Canada for the festivals for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
We had our reasons. I don't remember them now. But I
The
really
better
do.
food.
I'm starting to agree with you. That.
Yes.
I
joined Team Canada, man. I was already there, but I really joined Team Right.
Yeah, I think that by the time you get back to Mexico, if you unfortunately are doing all of Epcot in one day, which I don't ever recommend anybody ever do in their entire life, it's the dumbest decision. That's just dumb.
Right.
But
don't hold back.
I mean, sometimes you still have to do that, right? Like if you only have 4 park days and you want to do all of Epcot in one day. By the time you get to Mexico, it's a lot less congested later on in the day, whereas everybody else seems to go the opposite way. And I find that the Canada UK area is jam packed later on in the evening. So it's really just a crowd thing for me.
What better way to start your day than with a Guinness?
Yeah. I'm just saying. See, why are you talking to me? My watch, like she's been quiet this whole time. Then all of a sudden she's got an opinion. Okay, that's what I want to do.
Guinness is the breakfast of champions.
It
yeah,
is.
and I do a lot of Run Disney events, and so I have done. This is a great story for you guys. I'll tell it quick. I have done the full marathon at Disney, and then I have used a shower wipe, like a thing that you use to clean up, and changed my clothes with my friend Sarah. Changed our clothes in the bathrooms by guest services at Epcot, and then spent the entire day drinking around the world. And we did not get back to our room until after Illuminations. And
that is the only way you're going to get me to run Disney is by promising me good drinks and food at the end of it.
And we got back to our room and we were like, we have been up since 2:30 this morning, and we were both were we both after 40? Yeah, we were both like 45 when we did this, and we just had the best day ever. So, I'm just saying, if you can do that, you can do anything, right?
Yep.
That's half registrations coming up soon.
Yeah.
Will you be running?
I'm running the 10K in January if it happens. I'm not doing Princess this year. But yeah, I'm hopefully going to be there marathon weekend. Fingers crossed. I'm still dubious on if the whole thing is even going to happen. So we'll like we all are with everything right now. With everything.
Right? I'm hoping to be there for the Princess half. I have not fully committed yet, but I'm hoping.
Have you done it before, Juliana?
Never.
Oh my gosh. Well, I have about 8 billion videos about it, including the one that the last year when we did it, which ended up being the last Disney race for a minute. Who would have known? But the 2020 Princess Half, my friend Coral, I drug her into it, and it was her first half marathon. And so that whole thing is like, I think so inspiring if you've never trained and never done it. And she's still to this day, we'll be chatting. She's like, I can't believe we did that. I'm like, well, of course we did. So
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, I will definitely check out all your videos on Run Disney and potentially show my husband the DVC ones. We'll see. But it's been so nice chatting with you. I hope we can talk again sometime.
yes, I would love it. Thank you for having me, you guys. What an honor. It
been
was a great
awesome.
way to spend some time.
Before we let
Absolutely.
you go, Jen's going to give us a Mouska tip.
Yes, our Mouska tip of the day is very easy. Just go and check out Jen's YouTube and her website. I've posted on the bottom here, jenlefforge.com. We'll make sure we post it on all of our social media also. And check her out because we think she's pretty awesome. And, you know, Mouska Mom number 4. Absolutely.
Yay! Thank you. They like me.
So thank you everyone for spending another episode with us. Jen, again, thank you so much for joining us this week. For the latest news out of Disney, don't forget to visit our blog at mouskamoms.blog.com and join our group on Facebook at Disney Planning and Chat by Mouska Moms. And we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.